This is Voice of Korea.
Voice of Korea.
This is Voice of Korea.
We begin the English language transmission from Pyongyang, the capital of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
Citizens, the colors. 사업주연도 김일성. Anasının karış şalak geldi çimşenir.
Kim Jong-un, first Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea, first Chairman of the National Defense Commission of the DPRK, and Supreme Commander of the Korean People's Army, gave field guidance to the machine factory managed by Ho Chol-yong. He was accompanied by leading officials of the armed forces organs. Shaking hands with officials, he asked if the Kangsong health complex is run properly and if the brewery is normalizing production, and heard with an air of satisfaction the report that the workers really like one. He said, "We cannot forget what the great Kim Jong-il had said. That is, he got strength when he had come to the factory, and kept in his heart are the workers of the factory who have resolutely defended the party with increased production, with the faith that they regard pleasure, sorrow, and trials as an honor if they are together with Kim Jong-il." Respected Kim Jong-un first looked round the newly built Science and Technology Dissemination Room. He expressed great satisfaction that the factory has wonderfully built the room as intended by the party. He said the great Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il had always stressed the need to thoroughly establish the educational system of learning while working, and added with pleasure that as the factory has built a room, they can implement their instructions. He underscored the need to run the room properly so that the employees can normalize the study of modern science and technology and make it part of their life, bearing in mind that study is also a battle, and thus constantly improve their technical knowledge and skills and widen their vision. Going round the General Assembly shop and different other places of the factory, respected Kim Jong-un familiarized himself in detail with the structure, performance, and technical specifications of the modern machines manufactured at the factory. Saying modern machines suited to actual conditions of the country have been made, contributed to the production of chipset-based mechanical products. Learning about supply service for the Kangsong Health Complex better, and normalized production at the new greenhouse with no heating system and mushroom plant, so that the workers can get substantial shared benefits from them and the need to push ahead with the struggle for modernization of production processes and improvement of supply service simultaneously. That day, respected Kim Jong-un looked round the women's anti-aircraft machine gun company of the Worker Patent Red Gas at the factory. He saw a marker of field guidance set up to tell more about the immortal exploits of the great Kim Jong-il, who had visited the company in June 2008 and guided firepower training. Going around the education room, barracks, and different other places, he paid deep attention to the life of soldiers. He praised that the company has been built well in keeping with the demand of the Sengun era. It is nice and clean, and it is as good as the companies he had highly praised during his inspection of units of the People's Army. He gave important instructions which would serve as a guideline in strengthening and developing the civilian defense forces, including the issues on arming the commanding officers and soldiers of the company with a spirit of national defense, and more formally strengthening the preparations for combat action. Kim Jong-un enjoyed the performance given by the art circle of the company. He expressed great satisfaction, saying the performance is a wonderful performance which showed the love for the country and factory and the revolutionary optimism kept in the hearts of the soldiers, an ideologically and artistically perfect performance, and the performance which clearly proved the validity of the party's policies and most culture and art. Saying the ideological and mental faith of the commanding officers and soldiers of the company is very good, he expressed the belief that they would pool their strength to build up the company better as a model unit of the Worker Patent Red Gas and reliably support the party's cause of Sengun Revolution, and had a picture taken with them.
Respected Kim Jong-un, First Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea, First Chairman of the National Defense Commission of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and Supreme Commander of the Korean People's Army, gave field guidance to the Taiwan Glass Factory. He was accompanied by Hwang Byung-so and other leading officials of the armed forces organs. Respected Kim Jong-un looked around the newly built room for education through revolutionary relics and room dedicated to the history of the factory. All the mementos and materials, he carefully listened to the explanation that the Taiwan Glass Factory, built at the proposal of the great leader President Kim Il-sung, had been changed into leading optical glass producer under the leadership of the party. He said the Taiwan Glass Factory is a factory closely related with the great Kim Jong-il and the factory dear to himself. He said he has come with the mind of the great Kim Jong-il and promised to visit the factory again. He appreciated the merits of the workers of the factory, saying they have diversely worked to produce and supply optical glass ware badly needed for the economic development of the country, and thus supported the party with a great success in production over the past 30 or more years. Respected Kim Jong-un learned about the performances of the new optical measuring instruments produced at the factory. Observing optical measuring instruments, he said they are really wonderful, and these instruments made at the Taiwan Glass Factory are perfect and solid. Respected Kim Jong-un went around the plating production process newly built at the factory. Attentively seeing 4 conveyor lines automatically moving and plating by computer, he expressed pleasure, saying the workers have been completely freed from harmful labor, and harmful labor has become pleasant work. He instructed that as the plating production process has been modernized, it is necessary to keep concentrating efforts on technical reconstruction of overall production processes and automate and robotize all production processes, ranging from designing of goods to processing and assembly. He noted that the dormitory and dining hall should be built well, so that the workers of the factory can work and enjoy a cultural life without any inconvenience, and took kind measures for it. That day, respected Kim Jong-un enjoyed the performance given by the artist guild of the factory. He praised the artist guild members for giving truthful and agitated performance representing the feelings of the workers of the factory, and had a photo session with them. He expressed the belief that the party members and the workers of the factory would produce a large number of technically perfect optical measuring instruments of Korean style and achieve a greater success in the development and production of all future-oriented up-to-date goods in highly response to the party's ideas and surpassing the cutting edge.
Respected Marshal Kim Jong-un received a letter from the participants in the 23rd Congress of the General Association of Korean Residents in Japan on the 25th. The letter noted that respected Marshal Kim Jong-un sent a historic congratulatory letter to the Congress, those who are steadily living in the van, the building of an economic giant, the building of a highly civilized socialist country, and the total confrontation with the United States. The letter stressed the need to carry out the instructions of the great generalissimus Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il without fail along the road of future, the road of patriotism, and the road of prosperity, in hearty response to the historic congratulatory letter of Kim Jong-un, and to vigorously conduct the patriotic movement within at the center of unity and leadership in line with the requirements of the Kim Jong-un era. The letter expressed the will to develop the General Association of Korean Residents in Japan, the patriotic levels of the great generalissimus and overseas Koreans organization of respected Marshal Kim Jong-un into a powerful organization with firm traditions, strong foundation, and bright prospects, and thus advance the movement of Koreans in Japan only along the road of future. The letter sincerely wishes good health to respected Marshal Kim Jong-un, the destiny and benevolent father of the General Association and Japan Resident Koreans, representing the loyalty and respect of the entire officers of the association and Koreans in Japan.
Jong Il-sung, a Korean in Russia, laid a bouquet before the bronze statues of the great leaders Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il on Mount Hill and paid tribute to them upon her arrival in Pyongyang by air on Monday. That day, she laid a bouquet before the bronze bust of the anti-Japanese heroine Kim Jong-sik at the Revolutionary Massacre Cemetery on Mount Daesung.
Respected Marshal Kim Jong-un sent sporting goods and equipment to the Shandong International Children's Camp. The gift-conveying ceremony was held at the camp on the 26th. Present there were Lee Il-hwan, director of the Department of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, officials and teaching staff of the camp and centers. The gifts sent by respected Marshal Kim Jong-un were conveyed at the ceremony. The gift-conveying address and speeches were made, and then a resolution was adopted.
Respected Marshal Kim Jong-un, who is making great painstaking efforts for the development of the sport of the country, sent sporting goods and equipment to the sports village in Chongqing Street and the Pyongyang Indoor Stadium, which have been wonderfully rebuilt into comprehensive bases for physical culture. The ceremony for conveying the gifts for the gymnasium and stadiums in Chongqing Street and the Pyongyang Indoor Stadium was held at the weightlifting gymnasium in Chongqing Street on the 26th. Present at the ceremony were Choi Ryong-hee, Secretary of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, officials concerned, players, coaches, and employees. After the gift-conveying address, the gifts sent by respected Marshal Kim Jong-un were conveyed. Speeches were made and the resolution was adopted at the ceremony.
Kim Yong-nam, president of the Presidium of the Supreme People's Assembly of the DPRK, sent a message of greetings to Jacob Kedele Zuma on the 24th upon his re-election as president of the Republic of South Africa. The message said the result of the recent general elections in South Africa is a clear proof of the deep trust and expectation of the South African people for the president and the African National Congress of South Africa. Expressing the belief that the traditional relations of friendship and cooperation between the two countries would grow stronger in the future, the message wished President Zuma a greater success in his work for independent development and prosperity of the country. The government delegation of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, led by Foreign Minister Lee Soo-young, to participate in the meeting of foreign ministers of the non-aligned movement to be held in Algeria and visit Africa and Arab countries, arrived in Algiers by air on the 26th.
Shapagain Jagannath, Chief of the Asia-Pacific Regional Office of the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Society, and his party flew in Pyongyang on Monday.
The commander of the military police garrison of our side gave an answer to the question raised by the Mingun, the newspaper of the Korean People's Army, on the 26th as regards various impure provocative visits recently shown by the U.S. Recently, the U.S. forces are persisting in series of provocations acting on the mobiles of our side at any time in the acute Panmunjom area. They quite often come out from military demarcation line carrying megaphones with themselves and unilaterally read messages in different languages. They would also stealthily put envelopes with impure contents on the military separation line and run away like thieves. They would also open the northern door of the conference room of the former Neutral Nations Supervisory Commission frequently and shake a sort of invitations which are thoroughly rejected by our side. Moreover, they also put on the photo display of the flags of the participants in the Korean War in the conference room of the former Military Armistice Commission, the flags of Norway and Denmark, and recently the flag of Italy, which are not the participants in the war. What is more serious is that they have built a large-sized derrick watchtower on a hill in the area of conference halls in Panmunjom and watch and spy on our side. We can never remain an onlooker to such ill-boding moves of the U.S. forces, which become more serious after Obama let loose a string of remarks of confrontation with the DPRK during his juncture to South Korea. The U.S. forces should refrain from rash acts, pondering over what kind of serious aftermath their hostile acts will bring, the commander of the military police garrison stressed.
A statement to the commander of the Southwestern Front of the Korean People's Army told the Mingun, the newspaper of the Korean People's Army, on the 26th, concerning the recent many moves of the South Korean Park Geun-hye-led military hooligans to hush up their unpardonable provocations in the acute hot waters of the West Sea of Korea. The spokesman mentioned the senseless gunning of the South Korean military hooligans at our warships and peaceable Chinese fishing boats on May the 20th, and said, the South Korean military hooligans, driven into dilemma because of what happened, suddenly announced that our army fired 2 shells at their warship on the 22nd. Husband here himself made much ado, holding an emergency meeting of the security-related ministers, and the Ministry of National Defense instigated an edict spokesman to insist that the justification of our army is a shameless lie and stage a double masquerade. They said 2 water columns caused by our shells were found 150 meters from their naval vessel, but kept silence about the cause of the water columns, in other words, where those shells had come from, and cannot announce it. It is the South Korean public who insist that when a ship sinks in the sea, it is because of the torpedo of the North. When an unidentified drone forms in the sky, it is that of the North. And when a large-scale computer network is paralyzed, the North is involved in it. It is also the South Korean public that describe a toilet door picked up on a hilltop as a drone of the North, and the inside bubble of the sewers found in the middle of the Wonton Island as a shell of the North. Being such idiots, they say water columns in the sea are also a result of the shelling of the North. The Korea-led military hooligans must clearly know that with no amount of shameless insistence on the gunning of the North, can they save themselves from destined doom. And the overseas also fully displays its nature as the mastermind of plots and fabrications as it joined in the dirty lie of the miserable soldiers and becoming to its size. The South Korean Korea-led military hooligans must not forget even a moment that the officers and soldiers of our Southwestern Front Army have already been ordered not to make such water columns, but hit the enemy with a rifle shot without firing once they open fire, and to scotch the provocateurs immediately if they just move an inch, the spokesman said.
An all-people candlelight rally was held at the Tongge Plaza in Seoul on the 24th, under the sponsorship of the South Korean All-People Major Council of the Ferry Seoul disaster. Present there were members of civic and public organizations, bereaved families, craftsmen, students, citizens, and other people of broader sections, more than 30,000 in all. Speakers at the rally called upon all people to turn out in the struggle for a probe into the truth behind the ferry disaster and social legislation. After the rally, the participants, together with inhabitants and students from all parts of Gyeonggi province, marched to the Blue House, chanting, "Investigate Park Geun-hye," and Park Geun-hye resign. The South Korean public security authorities frantically suppressed the demonstrators, shooting chemical substances at them. They say they wiped out more than 30 people, including the chairman of the Metal Workers Union and Secretary General of the Confederation of Trade Unions. The demonstrators held another candlelight rally in the Seoul Square. Speakers at the rally stressed that the Samurai Party should unconditionally include Park Geun-hye in the list of the targets of parliamentary investigation.
According to the South Korean CBS, 137 media scholars of South Korea issued a joint statement and exposed that the Blue House meddled in the media activities of the KBS, so that it cannot correctly report of the 30 civil tragedies. On the 22nd, the Teachers' Union held a press conference and protested against the authorities' suppression of teachers who called Park Geun-hye to account concerning the ferry disaster. The South Korean internet newspaper Voice of People, in its editorial on the 20th, criticized that Park Geun-hye's talk to the people as regards the ferry disaster has no sincerity at all, and revealed her political intention to mislead the public opinion for the upcoming elections. The Christian Presbyterian Church of South Korea released a commentary on the 23rd, calling for investigation into the unjust interference of the government in the KBS through news control of the Blue House.
An opposition party of South Korea issued a statement on the 23rd, demanding the private authorities lift the May 24th step. The statement disclosed that exchanges and cooperation between the South and the North have been completely suspended, including the total let-up of inter-Korean trade and disallowance of South Koreans' visit to the North under the May 24th step taken by the government after the Warship Cheonan incident. It is most urgent for the Park Geun-hye government to boost inter-Korean exchanges through total lifting of the May 24th step, the statement said. It urged Park to lift the step immediately, resume the long-suspended tour of Mount Kumgang at an early date, and normalize the inter-Korean economic cooperation and relations. Meanwhile, the South Korean newspaper Hangyeore, in an editorial dated May the 22nd, reported that the International Labour Organization on May the 19th listed the level of the right to work in South Korea as the worst one in the world.
The Greater Korea Friendship Association released a statement on the 17th on the occasion of the 34th anniversary of the Korean Popular Uprising in South Korea. The statement says, "The Korean Popular Uprising was a heroic resistance against the U.S. colonial rule over South Korea and the military dictatorship of the puppet authorities, and for realizing the desire for independence, democracy, and reunification. Their heroic death is kept in the memory of resistance and people as an immortal soul, and the same blow to the enemy of the people." The statement sent full support to the South Korean people in their struggle to sweep away the Park Geun-hye-led fascists, drive out the Yankee European imperialists, the sworn enemy of the Korean people, and realize independence, democracy, and reunification. And that's the end of the news read by Cha Sung-nam and Kim Hyun-oh. This is Voice of Korea.
The daily Rodong Sinmun of the DPRK carried a commentary on Tuesday under the title, "U.S. Talk About Threat Invite Arms Race." The commentary said, the U.S. Department of Defense worked out an operation plan to deploy 2 Global Hawk high-performance reconnaissance drones at the Misawa U.S. Air Base in Japan towards the end of this month, and conduct positive espionage acts on Northeast Asia, including the DPRK. It is also making efforts to establish missile defense system in Japan, South Korea, and other allies in the Asia-Pacific region, as well as its mainland. Generally speaking, the United States is promoting arms build-up in the Asia-Pacific region on a full scale under the pretext of our threat. It is aimed at holding military supremacy and controlling foreign aggression with strength. Now the confrontation is getting acutely in the Asia-Pacific region as days go by, accelerating nuclear arms race. The further the United States persists in spreading rumor about our threat and in unfavored around the Korean Peninsula, the greatest force we will put towards strengthening our self-defensive deterrent force and do what we should do for peace and security of the Korean Peninsula, the commentary stressed. That was the commentary under the title, News Talk About Threat Invite Arms Race, carried in the daily Rodong Sinman of the DPRK on Tuesday. This is Voice of Korea.
Please enjoy the song Loud in My Country. Loud in My Grateful Country is the song of Marshal Kim Jong-il, song of admiration sung by the heart, feeling grateful for his love for the people. The song of admiration is loud in my country. Oh, the song of our Marshal Kim Jong-il. Here is a violin ensemble. Joyful is my land.
a female duet, Mother.
have been officially reported. You are our mother.
In the soul, fly high our party flag, traded in 1974 or 1985. Now, in South Korea, the Park Geun-hye group, driven into political crisis, is frantically fabricating so-called North Wind for leading the public to oppose the Democratic People's Republic of Korea before local state government elections. As the drones discovered in different parts of South Korea, the South Korean authorities are circulating the rumor about the North involvement. On April the 2nd, they announced the secret result of the detailed fact investigation that the crushed drones had been sent by the North. None of those were declared and denounced by the public at home and abroad. They recently set up another groundless document that the takeoff and landing site of the drones at the North with the help of even the U.S. masters. They are making desperate and persistent efforts to describe the drone incident as what was done by the North. They went so far as to insist that even a runway movable toilet door is the drone of the North. On it, the South Korean military loudly talked about possible April nuclear tests, saying a great event would happen before April the 30th, and the North is preparing a big shot. It is also part of their North Wind racket. When it turned out to be a lie, they spread another rumor about North's provocation, talking about possibility of long-range missile launch and detection of the sign of local provocation. As it was also ridiculed by the public, they staged another great provocative farce. It was the press conference attended by Kim Min-sok, spokesman for the Ministry of National Defense. As he has already reported, he most malignantly slandered the dignified system of the DPRK, saying, "It is a country which is not a country, and a country which has to be removed as early as possible." It is the worst tremendous provocation unheard of in the history of the inter-Korean relations. Concerning it, South Korean media too unanimously abused the Ministry of National Defense as one attempting to tide over the difficulties of the Seoul disaster, and as a senseless one. The media outlet of South Korea commented that the outputs made by the spokesman for the Ministry of National Defense in public are nothing but an intention to divert public attention elsewhere with the fabrication of another North Wind. Now, the South Korean people have demonstrated expressed indignation at the authorities who they intentionally kicked off the North Wind racket and described the outcry of the families of the victims of the Seoul disaster as political agitation. But now they themselves are agitating the North Wind. After the serious sinking accident, the public indignation is sky high, and the rate of support to the Park Geun-hye group is rapidly dropping. Convinced by it, the Park Geun-hye group is making last-ditch efforts to cover up its dirty looks in a bid to escape from the crisis, releasing a talk to the people and talking about the shuffle of the government and staging conspiratorial North Wind farce at random. The Park Geun-hye group is making desperate efforts to mislead the part in the racket, but in vain. Now, in all parts of South Korea, people from all walks of life are resolutely rising up to dismiss the government. The day is coming nearer when the Park Geun-hye group of heinous murderers and traitors would be punished by the people. You've been listening to an accountability reader, nothing in the racket of those in crisis. This is Voice of Korea.
Dear listeners, with this we conclude the English language service of Voice of Korea from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Voice of Korea presents its English language service for Southeast Asia between 5 and 6 hours UTC on 13,650 kHz and 15,105 kHz, and between 10 and 11 hours UTC on 11,735 kHz and 13,650 kHz. For Middle East and Northern Africa between 16 and 17 hours UTC on 9,890 kHz and 11,645 kHz, and between 19 and 20 hours UTC on 9,875 kHz and 11,635 kHz. For South Africa, between 19 and 20 hours UTC on 7,210 kHz and 11,910 kHz. And for Central and South Americas, between 4 and 5 hours UTC on 11,735 kHz, 13,760 kHz, and 15,180 kHz. And between 10 and 11 hours UTC on 11,710 kHz and 15,180 kHz. Goodbye, this is Pyongyang.